Good evening, folks. We are live. I think if you can hear my voice, let me know in the chat. I'm testing out some new software, so I don't really know if I'm actually streaming at the minute because the watch page is blank. So tonight we're going to talk about a few things to do with coronavirus, David Icke, Lady Gaga's expedition into some new thing that they've got going on. I don't know if you've heard about that. It's called One World, Stay Together at Home, or something like that. Together at Home, yeah. It's so strange, and you know the effect it's in when they roll out all this kind of stuff. People are already calling it the Live Aid of this generation, and it's organised, or these guys called Global Citizen. They are involved somehow. They're organising it. Hold on, I can hear something in the background. Right, so we'll get Lady Gaga. She's doing this thing. I'm having real technical difficulties here at the minute, guys. So if you're listening, just bear with me for a sec, because I cannot find the stream. Right, here we go. Got it. Now I can see I'm broadcasting. Okay, so good. We're good to go. Right, where was I? Yeah, Global Citizen. I mean, look at the logo, right? I mean, it's just the red circle there, the Ouroboros. So this is a poster. Um, you can see the hand symbols here, and it makes the wee shape of a house, doesn't it? But if you were to do that yourself, it's kind of like a reverse Jay-Z pyramid thing. If you just do that with line up the appropriate fingers and thumbs there, it's kind of like that. And look who's on it, the World Health Organization, right? So, you know, Bill Gates, or those kind of people in their gang, what are they doing? So you got Chris and Geosky in the chat, nice to see you there. But yeah, so Bill Gates is involved with the World Health Organization, and these guys, this event is for them apparently, or partly organised by them, or to raise money. I heard somewhere that Lady Gaga has already raised 35 million or something ridiculous like that. So you've got, they're doing these live streams, because everybody's stuck at home. So there's a whole bunch of people going to be involved in it. And you got some of the names here. You got Alanis Morissette, Billie Eilish, Chris Martin, John Legend, obviously Lady Gaga, Paul McCartney, and Stevie Wonder. Stevie, say it ain't so. But you got David Beckham as well, like, why is he there? A retired footballer? I don't know. But it's hosted by the you-know-who's of, mainstream media, television. Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel, Stephen Colbert. Uh, they'll be hosting it. So this event's happening on, was it the 18th? So you got plenty of time to tune into that rubbish if you want to see that. And so, talking about the World Health Organization, this clip came out earlier today. Well, that's when I seen it anyway. So I'm going to play a bit of this and see what you think of this. Yeah, so what do you reckon? The World Health Organization are oh, there's no sound. Oh no, are you sure? Because I could hear it. Right, I'll replay it. I'll replay it. Let me just see. No sound. I don't know why that's happening. Yeah, guys, I don't know why that's got no sound, because it's the audio's not showing up in the software that I'm using for some reason. I have no idea what's going on. This is new software. Like, I normally use some other program called XSplit, but I'm using OBS at the minute, and I really don't know why it's not showing up. Nothing is registering at all when I press play on the video. No. Well, I don't know what I'm going to do with that, but he basically says about forcibly removing family members because now, everybody's self-isolating, and, they got to come into your house because the infected people are somewhere in your house now. So that's what they're at least telegraphing to the world. And, at the same time, Donald Trump has just came out and announced that he's not going to send them any funding anymore. He's defunding the World Health Organization, withholding the money that they'd normally, donate to that organization. But that's what he's doing. So I guess that's something, I suppose. But yeah. See, this is gonna cause problems because I actually wanted to show you an R clip, and you've never seen that before. So I don't know what I'm going to do. Perhaps I should just yeah. GeoSky says sound output is set to vocal only somewhere in your rig, but no, it says it all runs through OBS. So I mean, I don't know. Here we go. Hold on. Let's see if this works.
Said, I think is critically important. Can you repeat what you just said, please? Well, last Friday I received a 7-page document
audio.
that sort of told me that if I had an 86 7-page
Right, this clip where it was tweeted out tonight, I just spotted it, so I'll enlarge it a little bit. So it's from a local network, KX4 or something like that. So I'll play the clip.
You just said, I think is critically important. Can you repeat what you just said, please?
Well, last Friday I received a 7-page document that sort of told me that if I had an 86-year-old patient that had pneumonia but was never tested for COVID-19, but sometime after she came down with pneumonia, we learned that she had been exposed to her son who had no symptoms, but later on was identified with COVID-19, that it would be appropriate to diagnose on the death certificate COVID-19. Now, we've not done that. If someone has the pneumonia after and it's in the middle of a flu epidemic, and I don't have a test on influenza, I don't diagnose influenza on the death certificate. I will say this elderly patient died of pneumonia.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but my heart is sinking right now as you're telling me this. You're a doctor. Why in the world would they be sending you out information to fill out death certificates, whether the person's been diagnosed with COVID-19 or not, but then to say in the death certificate this person's death was caused by COVID-19? That does not sound right to me.
I went to the person in our office who does most of the death certificates over the last 10, 20 years, and I said, does this sound right? I had her look at the documents that I printed off, and she said, well, we've always been told that you always put down just facts. You don't put down any probabilities. You don't put any presumptions down. It's just what you know. And so this is concerning. And it actually gets to your point, Chris. When we start talking about the data that goes into the modeling, we have to ask ourselves a question. Are we being forthright? Are we sharing with the public? Minnesota, North Dakota, we don't need to be having it sugar-coated. We want to know what's going into your modeling.
So with that being said, why would they want to skew the number of deaths due to COVID-19?
Well, fear is a great way to control people. And I worry about that. I worry that sometimes we're so darn interested in just jazzing up the fear factor.
You just said.
So yeah, the fear factor, that's what it ended on. So what do you think of that then? That's a doctor coming out and saying that he's got this document telling him to put, you know, if they die of pneumonia, telling them to put COVID-19 as the underlying cause of death. When he said himself, like, if somebody had died of pneumonia, he's not putting on the death certificate, you know, influenza or something like that, you know. The cause of death is pneumonia. And I keep hearing these stories everywhere about the death certificates and how, like, the numbers are being counted, whether or not they've allegedly died of COVID-19 or not. So, like, I mean, the testing thing seems a bit off. And David Icke, I don't know if you've heard of the controversy that was caused yesterday, but David Icke has basically did this interview about 5G and coronavirus and things like that. Now, I don't necessarily agree with anything David Icke says, but he kind of makes one decent point in the first half of the video about the testing. So you can go watch the video. I'll put the link in the description. It's 2.5 hours long. I've already watched about an hour and a half of it or something like that, and he starts getting into 5G and vaccines and things like that, you know. I don't agree with his theory about it being a hoax and that it's all down to 5G, for a number of reasons. You know, I'm not saying 5G is safe or nothing, but I just don't see the link to coronavirus or something like that. As of yet, people have yet to explain why Iran, which has no 5G, yet it has people dying of coronavirus. You know, and unless it's all a total hoax, how do you explain that with the 5G theory? If the 5G theory is right, then why are people supposedly dying in Iran when they've not got 5G network? But yeah, I'll stick the link in the chat for that. You can watch the David Icke interview if you want, you know, it's there. I've watched an hour and a half, like I said. The first half he makes some points about the testing. Like I said, there is some corroborating evidence that the testing's not very reliable. I mean, you've probably heard that yourself, right? I mean, that's quite common. But he says that what they're detecting when they take these tests is just like these exomes or something like that they're called. I can't remember. But this is these things are caused by underlying issues like even stress, apparently, right? This is just allegedly, is what I've heard. It's what David Icke says. So, and when they get a positive on the test, it's just because it's detected these exomes, you know, and not actually COVID-19. They're just calling these exomes as the cause of these exomes is COVID-19, but there's no way of proving that, really, because they could be caused by a great number of things, like just the normal flu and stress and things like that. Yeah, Love and Kindness says 80% false positives in the chat. That's you know, I don't know if that could be accurate or not, but I would imagine that because there's no really legitimate way to detect coronavirus, they're detecting these other things that they say is the cause of COVID-19, or COVID-19 is the cause of these things when it's not. So to rely on the test, I don't think it's very wise at this point. I'm not going to play any of this video because I might get copyrighted and striked out and whatever, because I don't know if you've seen, but YouTube have already come out and said that they're gonna ban videos or whatever channels that are talking about 5G being linked to coronavirus. So YouTube has banned all conspiracy theory videos falsely linking coronavirus symptoms to 5G networks. I mean, the Google owned service will now delete videos violating that policy. So the tendency here is to sort of think, well, that must give it some legitimacy, right? I mean, because they obviously don't want you talking about it, But what if it is actually false and that's been viral? It's viral around the internet, right? Pun not intended there. But it's viral all around the internet, this idea of 5G being the cause or being the actual virus or whatever. It's viral. What if it's false? Then there's, millions of people have watched this false information and believe it, right? I mean, where are the standards for ascertaining whether that is actually the truth? Where do you draw the line between fiction and provable fact, Because I don't see, personally, at the minute, facts linking this to coronavirus or facts saying that 5G causes these symptoms in humans, I just haven't seen solid evidence for it. I've heard a lot of claims like, a scientist said this, or a big bunch of scientists say this and things like that, but nobody actually comes out and gives you the actual data, which I find odd. And like I said, nobody's bothered explaining Iran yet, to my knowledge. And there must be other countries as well where there's no 5G. I mean, you can check it out. You can go to Ookla and check out the 5G. It's a 5G tracking site. Okay, so whenever 5G comes online, these guys put it on a little map. So I'll just check that you can see this, right? So bearing in mind, if you follow me on Twitter, at SkyIsBlue2, you've probably seen me post images from this before. And the reason I'm just saying that is that if you look at the United States, 5G was already there before this coronavirus thing, started happening. And it's always said that the outbreak in Wuhan was caused by 5G, right? Because the Wuhan province was where they piloted the 5G, right? It was the first city to get rolled out in. But as you see, coming here to the 5G map, there's the Hubei province here, and there's Wuhan with 3 5G outlets or networks up and running, right? So that I'm not saying that that's 3 transmitters or whatever, do you know what I'm saying? But if you compare just this little region, well, I say little, but it's huge, right? I mean, there's 10-15 million people in this city, Wuhan, alone. So that's not a lot of 5G in that province compared to, say, Germany. No, it's Switzerland, right? So Switzerland's got quite a lot. I mean, how badly are they suffering with coronavirus? And you come over to the States and there's loads, There's so much more. I mean, look at these numbers: 1,100, 2,600, 757, 663. It's a big difference from 3. I mean, look at the map in China here, 3. That's Wuhan, So the 5G thing, it doesn't make sense. There's a couple of holes in the whole thing that I don't really agree with. And then if you go to Iran, okay, you've got nothing in Iran. Now, anytime that I've put that forward to some 5Gers, oh, hello Vostel mate, how you doing? I just saw Vostel pop up in the chat. God bless you, bro. Badger says 5G remains untested on human health. It may not cause COVID symptoms, but I suppose tech giants would have been silencing those who promoted the once scoffed at idea that tobacco caused cancer. Yeah, I see what you're saying. It's a good point, right? I mean, tobacco manufacturers are hardly likely to say, yeah, it's harmful, right? Because they want you to buy the tobacco, cigarettes or whatever. So, you know, if they're trying to get people on 5G, then yeah, they're not likely want to come out and say, yeah, it's harmful or something, you know. But I don't think, it remains to be seen. That's the thing. Like, as you said yourself, Badger, it remains to be seen on whether 5G is actually harmful or not, you know, because there's been no conclusive studies as far as I can see. But I will say, if you Google the words non-ionizing 60 gigahertz, if you Google that, you'll get some interesting articles. And the whole thing about non-ionizing particles is that, or frequencies, sorry, is that it's in the electromagnetic spectrum that's not harmful to humans, right? I mean, if you look at visible light on the electromagnetic spectrum, it's a way up higher than the 5G range, you know. And I mean, I'm no scientist or nothing, but if it's non-ionizing, then that means it shouldn't be causing any harm to anybody, you know. But who knows, that might just be a blag, you know what I mean? They might just be blagging it so that they get it out and whatever else. Another thing you got to take into account with this 5G thing, right, is that the 5G transmitters are not like high powered, what do you call it, directed energy weapons, right? Because it's all about the signal, the amplitude of the signal in the first place, right? So I'm just going to Google Newton's square law. Yeah, inverse square law, right? So when you get something like a radio wave or whatever, over distance, the signal and power of it diminishes, right? Proportional to the power and the distance, right? You understand? So when you're taking into account these transmitters, you've also got to take into account Newton's inverse square law, because you could be standing, like, you know, I don't know how many feet or meters away from a transmitter, and whatever power output that originally has as it's transmitting, it drops off the further away you get from it. And then these 5G transmitters are supposed to be micro transmitters that are more frequently placed around, say, a city, because they're not high powered enough to carry the signal long distances, you know. And I mean, some of that has got to be taken into account when you say 5G could be harmful, because when you're dealing with these things about frequencies and amplification, you got to be careful not to make correlations just because of the number 60 gigahertz, you know. Like, if you Google something and you have an article where it's talking about some directed energy weapon, and that directed energy weapon just mentions that it runs on a frequency of 60 gigahertz or something, just because it's the same number, it doesn't necessarily mean that when you turn on a 5G transmitter that it's, you know, kicking out the same level of power as some directed energy weapon is, you know. Does that make sense? I hope it does. But that's just one of the reasons why I don't think that 5G is doing this, you know? This whole coronavirus thing. So should I play the Who clip? Because you missed that. There was no sound. I'll play this. You never seen that at the end? Vostel says, watch out, people will jump on you and call you a shell if you have different opinions. Yeah, that's exactly right. They probably already think I'm a shell. I think they decided a long time ago, because right from the start I've always been kind of taking the other side of what's popular, you know, simply because I don't believe whatever the stance happens to be. You know, you could go back to quite a few things, and I've took the opposing side. You know, the Virginia shooting, I opposed. Most people called that a hoax. I said it was real. The plane crash, that was branded a hoax. I said that was real. So yeah, if you have a different opinion with people, they'll probably call you a shell. That's right, Vostel. So I'll play this clip because you never got to see it. Well, you saw it, but you didn't hear it.
Last week, Dr. Michael Ryan, he's a leader at the World Health Organization, announced that in response to the spread of this virus, authorities may have to enter people's homes and remove family members, presumably by force.
In most parts of the world, due to lockdown, most of the transmission that's actually happening in many countries now is happening in the household, at family level. In some senses, transmission has been taken off the streets and pushed back into family units. Now we need to go and look in families to find those people who may be sick and remove them and isolate them in a safe and dignified manner.
Just so you know, we're coming to your house, seizing your children and, quote, isolating them in a safe and dignified manner. Last week.
Yeah. So what'd you think about that? Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, you should definitely be opposing that, right? I mean, what gives them the audacity to think that they can just go do that? You know? Yeah, Saul to Paul, these nuts. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? The World Health Organization, you know, funded by the likes of Bill Gates and things like that. And, you know, Bayer has got some fingers in this pie as well, and Bill Gates is tied to them as well. And who made Bill Gates the doctor of planet Earth all of a sudden? I mean, the guy can't even stop Windows for getting a virus. So, well, how's he going to stop this thing? Do you know what I mean? So, Bill Gates, you know. That's what I always say. Like, people were scared of AI, and I'm like, remember, they can't even make Windows run properly. Never mind some AI Terminator. I don't know if they exist, but might do. Vostel, I don't want this type of reality. Yeah, me either, mate. R2C has long not been following the Truther party line on the Jews. That's automatic shell and damnation for many Christian truthers. Yeah, that's true. If you say Israel, you know, the Jewish people can live on that land, no, you know, it's a big uproar. But yeah, I don't care. I go by the Bible, not what, you know, the United Nations say. You know, that's just it. So yeah, bad news, innit? So you remember that clip what I showed you where the doctor says they gave me a 7-page document trying to get me to put COVID-19 on the death certificates. Well, the reporter there on this, he kindly provided it in the link, so I downloaded it, and here it is, and you can read it. I'll share it with you, and it's a legit link because it's from the CDC, cdc.gov, so you can all have a squiz at this. Download it or something. I'll put it in the chat. There you go. So this is like a guidance for certifying deaths due to coronavirus disease 2019, otherwise known as COVID-19. Now, they go into a bunch of things, and they give some. What I think is most interesting is like the examples that they give down the bottom. So you got here a 77-year-old male with a 10-year history of hypertension and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease presented to a local emergency department complaining of 4 days of fever, cough, and increasing shortness of breath. He reported recent exposure to a neighbour with flu-like symptoms. He stated that his wheezing was not improving with his usual, I don't even know what that was, broncho. Upon examination, he was febrile, hypoxic, and in moderate respiratory distress. His chest x-ray demonstrated hyperinflation, and his arterial blood gas was consistent with severe respiratory acidosis. Testing of respiratory specimens indicated COVID-19. He was admitted to the ICU despite aggressive treatment. He developed worsening respiratory acidosis and sustained a cardiac arrest on day 3 of admission. So, in this case, the acute respiratory acidosis was the immediate cause of death. So it was reported on line A, and you can see that here, line A, acute respiratory acidosis, right? And it says it was precipitated by the COVID-19 infection. So COVID and hypertension were contributing causes, but were not part of the causal sequence. So what they're saying here is COVID-19 was the underlying cause for this, and then thus COVID-19 is counted as a death. You following? You know, because it's not necessarily COVID-19 that's killed him here. It said the heart attack, didn't it? So why is he not down as heart attack with these respiratory acidosis thing, right? So it's just like, yeah, put COVID-19, and if you read this whole thing, 7 pages, it won't take you long. Well, I'm not going to do it now, but they keep just reaffirming that if you see this or you think it could be that, just put COVID-19. It is acceptable to put COVID-19, you know, and they keep saying that. It's basically they're just, and look who the references are, right? Go down the bottom, references. Number 1 reference, World Health Organization, right? Number 2, World Health Organization, you know, Centers for Disease and Control Prevention, you know, number 7, World Health Organization. So they're just taking this all from the WHO. Eric says not causing the virus but same symptoms even into death. Well, yeah, that's right. David Icke, Michelle says, David Icke says the test doesn't look for a virus, it looks for enzymes anyone would have in them for the flu or even the cold if they'd recovered from the past. Yeah, that's right, Michelle. I did mention that David Icke said that in his interview. I did talk about that. You must be just arriving. Welcome. So I think there's a problem with it, obviously, with the testing, and if that is how they're doing it with the enzymes and things like that, then that's not proof that they've been infected with COVID-19 or coronavirus, whatever you want to call it. You know? So go read this. It's only just been sent out on the 3rd of April 2020, and then you had that doctor guy making a statement on local TV somewhere. I've never heard of that station, but I followed the guy anyway in case he posts something else about that. So that's one good thing about Twitter, I guess, you know. And if you're just here, then if you've just arrived, I'll tell you about this. One World Together at Home. Did you see this, Bosto? Let me know if you've seen this. So you got Lady Gaga and a whole bunch of celebrities and whatever else want to do this thing called One World Together at Home, and it's like a live stream concert, Live Aid thing, you know, so they're going to be doing this. What do you think of that, guys? Do you think I should cover it? Should I cover it? Should I go live as well? Should I stay at home? And Eric says 60 gigahertz millimeter waves causing the same symptoms, deadly. Well, Eric, that's not been proven. That's just a claim at this point. You know, I've not heard anybody actually proven why that would cause the same symptoms. I've heard a lot of things that the 5G causes some sort of oxygen molecule to spin in your blood or something, and it makes it hard to uptake oxygen. Yeah, it all sounds scientific, but like I said about, I don't know, 5-10 minutes ago, just because you see the number or frequency 60 gigahertz, it doesn't automatically mean that it's harmful, you know, because it's in the non-ionizing range. So yeah, suffocating. Yeah, that's the claim though, Eric, you know what I mean? There's a lot of claims going about. There's not a lot of proof to back up those claims. Not that I've seen anyway, and some of the biggest viral videos on the subject. I can't remember the person's name, but it was a lady. She said she was a Christian. She did a video and she talked for about 40 minutes to an hour. And she said all this stuff, but most of the stuff that she was saying when it comes to 60 gigahertz and things like that was just like a bunch of scientists said, and then that was that. So I'm not really seeing any proper proof on that. You know, you could try googling, like I said earlier in the stream, non-ionizing 60 gigahertz and read some of the articles. That's what I would suggest. KP Masonry, how you doing, brother? Been listening but just able to get on and chat. I can accept Virginia having some deaths, but can you acknowledge Chris Huss was definitely playing a role that couldn't possibly be organic? I don't know who Chris Huss is, KP. Not really sure. Don't know what you're talking about. Maybe you could send me a link somewhere or whatever. So, 'cause I have no idea who that guy is. Oh, was he the Virginia shooting guy? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, maybe it is. So I'll play this clip. The what's it called? Lady Gaga, Global Citizen, Stay at Home, or sorry, Together at Home. It reminds me of that, you know, what was that Christian thing? Together, 2015 was it? Let's see what the images bring up. No. Washington. Wow. Come on. Well, you'd think that would bring that up, wouldn't you? But you remember the 2015 Together event at Washington? Is that it there? Yeah. I was hoping for the logo. What's the logo? But anyway, they had a big Ouroboros. The O was like the same as the Global Citizen thing. So here you had the concert or whatever it was, you know, preaching and all that, and it was behind that big obelisk thing in Washington in 2015. So together, you know, now we're doing it at home because of social distancing. Look at the crowds. They are not social distancing, right? Obviously it was back in 2015, but they never knew what that was. Who did? I didn't. So where's this Lady Gaga video? Right, I'll play this, right? Because this is going to be all you're going to hear about for the next couple of weeks or something, the run up to this. It's the new Live Aid. In fact, I hope I don't get copyright for that.
I've been spending all my time creating this special that's going to be on NBC, CBS, and ABC. And also, I've been making a lot of phone calls helping to fundraise with the WHO and Global Citizen. And we're really excited about this show because we didn't want it to be a fundraiser. We wanted everyone to put their wallets away and sit back and enjoy the show. And we already have raised $35 million for the Solidarity Response Fund.
That is crazy.
It sure is crazy. 35 million for what? You could probably have done it all for free. You know? You didn't see Bob Geldof wanting 35 million for Live Aid. I don't know. That might be just a joke. He might have. But, you know, so what do you think of all this? You know, like, you know, together at home. They're really just trying to make you comfortable staying at home, aren't they? Like, a bit too hard, don't you think? I mean, they're a bit too hard selling it. So, Reset 2016, yeah, that was the other name, wasn't it? Like Reset Together, it's the same sort of company, or they were in bed with each other, or something like that. KP Masonry, Chris Hurst, the boyfriend of the commentator. Yeah, I remember. I did do some videos back then on that, you know, and you know, I found a shell, you know, like a bullet shell ejected. People were saying that the gun wasn't real, and it was just like a toy thing, but toy guns don't eject shells. That was my point, you know. Badger says, I live in Vegas and the word is hotel staff say Lady Buffbag is truly horrible person and never tips. You got to tip, man. You got to tip. I used to be a waiter ages ago. You know, I didn't get any tips though because it was in a hotel, so that kind of sucks. But yeah, I'll go crazy if they lock me up more than a year. Yeah, I don't think it'll go on for that long. I really, because I mean, if this is like, I don't know, I just don't see it going on for a year. But you know, you never know. They might just try and full on push for their agendas, won't they? How badly is Romania locked down then, Vosto? Is it? Are you allowed to go out for your 1 day exercise? Because I think they're trying to shut that off as well. What was it? There was a woman. Yeah, I should bring that up. Arrested on a park bench. Hopefully it'll be there. Yeah, here it is.
And what our disagreement is about is whether this is exercising mentally.
It is, yes.
Physically. So I don't.
Well, I'm sorry, but the law doesn't specify what form the exercise has to take.
It doesn't.
Well, there you go. So I'm within my rights to exercise mentally once a day outdoors for as long as I like.
So somebody sitting on a bench, the cops have came up, and apparently they've asked her to move, go home and whatever, and she's like, no, I'm getting my exercise, I'm getting my mental exercise. She's obviously playing on the word there, because she's right, it's not specific, right? Although they add in words like, you know, go for a walk, go for a bicycle or whatever, but they're not so specific to say you can't do mental exercise. But she's like, no, I'm doing my mental exercise, I want to sit on the bench. And they're like, no, you need to go home.
And this is where the disagreement is going to arise.
Right, okay, so the letter of the law, what does it say?
It's exercising.
Right, which I'm doing, yes. I'm meditating here by the lake, by the river.
Well, my interpretation of it is that it's physical exercise.
But that's your interpretation, that's not what the law says, is it?
Okay, and the only way we're going to find this out is by being tested in some way, which I
Indeed.
Which I really
I'm
don't want to do
happy.
today.
Happy with that.
Okay.
That's not what the law says.
Okay.
So, I mean, honestly, like, Love and Kindness says she saw that. I love that lady. Yeah. She's just minding her own business, sitting on a bench, right? I mean, what harm is that going to do to anybody? You know, as long as people are social distancing or whatever you want to call it, she should be alright to just sit on that bench and chill out and watch the river and whatever else. You know? I mean, it's crazy, right? It's crazy. So now you can't really sit on a park bench for longer than 10 minutes, I don't know. Because she was there for a while and they came back, and then he's getting in her space, KP. Yeah. He's not social distancing to arrest her, you know. And I've noticed that quite a lot, right? The police are not keeping their distance from people, you know. How do they know that the person that they're going to speak to or whatever hasn't got the virus? But so she ends up getting arrested because the guy's about to write a fine and fine her, and she's like, I don't want a fine, you can just arrest me. And eventually that's what happens. So he's filling out the form and stuff like that, and then they end up taking her away.
So your officer, sorry, what's your name?
My name's Tom.
Hi, Tom.
You alright?
Yeah.
Officer Tom. Look, you see that tattoo there? We know that tattoos are, you know, whatever, but it's a big skull one.
You alright?
See it?
Yeah.
You catch yourself the phone?
Yeah, no, I just like filming. See, I'm going willingly.
No one said you're not.
I am, yeah. I'm not.
So she gets carted off, and I've not had an update on that yet either, so whatever. Vostel says, we had lockdown before you guys, or did you? And no exercise. You're just allowed to get food, so it's, yeah, same kind of rules. KP says, I'm up in Alaska, no 5G, 200 or so cases. No 5G, well, there you go, that's another thing that you can add to the list, right? So, no 5G in Alaska, and there's no 5G in Iran, yet they're saying that there's cases, and has anybody died in Alaska yet? Because they say people have died in Iran. Vostel goes on to say, and we've got to have papers. Oh, papers, please. Yeah, that's a bit weird. Oh, hold on a minute. Why do you still have paper? Don't you have, like, card ID now? I'm just kidding. But yeah, that's very, like, Nazi kind of thing, isn't it? Papers, please. This is a Gestapo. Why so late? I don't know. It's just because most of the American audience are, you know, it's just still early for them, so absolute madness, Badger says. Hit the thumbs up, guys, Badger says. Good idea. So Romania has 4,000 cases plus and no 5G. That's very interesting. So Romania, Alaska, Iran, no 5G. So is that that's just positive cases, 4,000 positive. God bless you, Mark. Been bedbound 20 to 23 hours a day for over 2 years, maybe 3, not left the house for anything but medical appointments. Believe me, it's frustrating. Yep, I imagine it is. God bless you, brother. But yeah, it's easy though compared to the saints in China who are in prison. Yeah, true that. I mean, we've got it easy this side of the world so far for the minute anyway, innit? So we'll count our blessings on that. Yeah. Vostel's played a bunch of video games where they pull out the martial law. Yeah. Deus Ex, Mankind Divided, for example. Yeah, I covered that game before. Do you remember, Vostel? And in the video, it has... Yeah, I was just about to say that. And in the one you have even the virus in the original Deus Ex. Yeah, because they talk about a virus that wipes out mankind. And And VersaLife sells the vaccine, didn't it? That's interesting. So yeah, they say in the game a virus could wipe out mankind, and when that audio's playing, they show a virus that is just, it's a coronavirus without a doubt. It has the same spiny things that they're, you know, promoting right now. And that's the thing, I mean, it's one thing when a game or something like that kind of seemingly predicts the future, right? But what if a scientist from a Wuhan pathogen lab, you know, that Wuhan level 4 pathogen laboratory, what if a scientist from there predicted this? Would you think that was interesting? Let me know in the chat, because I think that is interesting if that were true. You think it's true? Well, it turns out it actually is true. It actually is true. I found this at earlier on tonight. If you've been following me on Twitter, again at Sky is Blue 2, you probably saw me posting a number of scientific articles, and I was trying to make a big noise about it because I believe it was important. It was a 2007 scientific study on coronavirus, and what they were doing was they were taking the SARS coronavirus that caused the outbreak back in 2003. They took that and they genetically inserted HIV cells to the virus chain so that it would you know, bind to the human blood cells or whatever you call them. And yeah, so that was very shocking to me. And one of the names on it was a person called Shi Zhengli or something like that, right? And where is the thing? I just need to look for this for a second. I kind of lost it. Where is it? All these tabs. You kind of wait a minute. Yeah. So I need to find that for a second. So bear with me. I need to open a different browser and do all these things. Vostel says the leader of the Illuminati basically won the game. Yeah. Badger says one very important point made in Tucker Carlson clip was, why is congregating at grocery stores any less dangerous than going to work? Yeah. Was that in the full interview? Because I don't remember hearing that. So I'm looking for a link that I should have had up, but I must have closed it by accident. Right, is it on the Twitter thing? Here we go. Right, so this is a guy to follow on Twitter if you've got Twitter. Stephen Mosher. Just follow him because he's got a lot of information on what's going on in China. So he's the president of Population Research Institute, and he's the author of various books, including The Bully of China. So he's posted this. The Wuhan biolab from which the Wuhan virus leaked predicted future SARS-like coronavirus outbreaks will originate from bats, and this will occur in China, and so conducted urgent research into bat coronaviruses and bizarrely allowed it to leak from the lab. So Mosher's opinion is that this is created in a lab. That's my opinion as well, if the virus is indeed real, and you know. But if you go to this, I'll put the link in the chat, you can have a read over this, you can study it and whatever else. But basically, in this article, one of the scientists that was on the study article that I posted on Twitter, that's about 2007. 2007, Zeng. There's the name. I don't know if you can see that name. Can you see that name? Zheng Li Shi. You see that now? Well, she's like the virus bat expert. They even call her the Bat Woman. So she's like the expert over there. And apparently this study, they predicted that a virus would escape from the lab, and that there would be a future SARS-like coronavirus outbreak, and it will originate from bats, and it will occur in China. And is that not the official story that's coming out from China, that originates from bats? It is, you know. I'll copy the link and put it in the chat for y'all, so that anybody watching this in the future can grab the link as well. It's in Chinese though, but if you've got Google, just put it in Google and Google will translate it. So Badger says the question about why grocery shopping is safer than work was in the same Tucker Carlson show of which she showed an excerpt. Alright, the same one, yeah. Yeah, I must have got some little shortened clip of it or something on YouTube. Oh, there's V-Power, hello. V-Power says, in the US, several states have numbers to call to tattle to the government on your neighbours who aren't social distancing. Yeah, you got the same thing going on everywhere, I think, including here in the UK. You just phone 111 or something like that, and you get to tattle, as you say, on your neighbours or whatever. And you'd think that people wouldn't want to be tattling on their neighbours, but it is very popular. It is very popular. I'm a member of some groups locally on Facebook, local communities and things like that, and I was quite surprised that the local community around this area is seemingly embracing the whole tattle on your neighbour thing. They are quite into that. Very many posts are made complaining about people's children being out in the street, and you know, how dare the parents do this, and how dare the parents let them out, don't you know where your kids are, and all these things. And I'm like I'm like, wow, people are really scared, do you know what I mean? People are really scared, and I think that's due to the media, because they just, it seems like they're relentless, you know, and whenever they post numbers that we can't verify, to be honest, can we? But when we hear them, it's, you know, it's pretty frightening, and it's having quite a effect on people, I think, you know, and it's just fear, gripped in fear. And I don't blame them, because if it's a serious virus, then yeah, you know what I mean. Who wants to get that, you know? Foster says, where is the democracy anyway if they can lock us up for a year without asking us a single question? Exactly. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, they just said, right, everybody stay indoors, and pretty much everybody just kind of did it, you know. And the first couple of days were really eerie, because you could really tell the difference from the previous days, you know. It was like your area was turned into a ghost town overnight, especially at night time, do you know what I mean? I'm not saying it's because of the dark or whatever, but obviously it just looks spookier at night time. There's no human activity, things like that. So yeah, David Icke has really caused a controversy, really has. And it's, you know, it's strange, right? I mean, it's only gonna, in a lot of people's minds, that's just going to legitimize what he's saying, you know. And you know, I've not watched the full interview, but like I said, I've watched the first hour and a half. You know, it was pretty interesting, I guess, and he made some good points about the testing, do you know what I mean? So this was taken off their Twitter page, China Daily, see here. Somebody had archived it and reshared it, so you'd think, why would they just take this off their page if people are starting to notice it? Because they posted it 28th of May 2018. So take a look at the largest virus bank in Asia. Wuhan Institute of Virology in central China's Hubei province preserves more than 1,500 different strains of virus. Now, why would you just then, hide that post? You don't want people to know. And I love this reply. 2020 update. 1,499 different strains of virus because one's escaped, right? So it's 1,500. That's pretty funny. Pretty funny. Bostel says it's like people were craving to live in a dystopian world from watching so many movies and playing so many games about it. Maybe people have been brainwashed to want to be part of such a reality. That would be strange, right? I mean, it's like Stockholm syndrome or something, where you fall in love with your kidnapper or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it's like almost, isn't it? Like, I want to live in this dystopian world. I mean, it's just weird. Like, people are so willing to kind of. I mean, I know the majority of folks surely can't be willing to put up with this, because like most people I know, like in my circle, people like you guys, close family, they're kind of like me and you guys out there. They're into a bit of conspiracies. I'm just thinking of my brother-in-law, for example. He thinks it's overblown. He thinks that these measures that they're taking everywhere are taking it too far, and he just pretty much wants it over and done with. He's coping well and all that, and I'm coping well. We're coping well in this house because, like I've said before in the last live stream, this is like normal life really for me. I only go out to get something to eat that the house might need, like shopping or whatever. I pretty much have been training for this day, Yeah. Vostel says, here in Romania, thousands were still driving at night against the new rules, but they brought in fines to fix it, and then they stopped going out. Yeah. I know, I would stop. I mean, who would want to get fined, right? I mean, that's another thing. It's like a money generator now, innit? The fines. That's just going to generate money for people. Because I mean, who wants to sit in all summer? Summer's just round the corner, and we'll really see what really happens then. Wuhan is one of the first cities with oxygen deprivating 5G. Folks were collapsing on the street. Yeah, folks were collapsing on the street in 1918 with the Spanish flu, and they were turning blue as well, Alison. And I'm pretty sure they never had 5G in 1918. And of course, I don't know if you were here earlier, but where is it now? See all these tabs? See the problem about having all these tabs? Yeah, Ookla, right? This is the 5G world map, okay? You can go check it out at speedtest.net/Ookla 5G map, or just type in 5G map, right? So this is China, right? Not a lot of 5G when you count the numbers. 5, 2, 2, 3, 3. 17 in Shanghai. That's probably to be expected since it's the capital. But here's the Hubei province. I've showed you this earlier. There's only 3 5G networks in Wuhan, or three transmitters. I don't know which it is, but there's 3 commercially available networks, right? China Mobile, China Telecom, China Unicom, right? So this is a giant province, and the coronavirus deaths were not just restricted to Wuhan. So the whole idea that this Wuhan thing it's caused by 5G because Wuhan were the pilot city in China. But the thing is, it was already there. It was already there, and it was already there in the United States before coronavirus. It was already there in places in the UK, you know, and nobody was dying from anything. Okay, and yeah, Vostel says yeah, you might have been wrong. This map is updated weekly, so these might be new, you know. I mean, they are putting out the idea that there's 5G towers getting put up because we're all in lockdown, but I think it's more probably just because they were scheduled anyway. And as you notice here, Iran has no 5G. So if somebody would like to explain to me why people are supposedly dying in Iran from coronavirus if there's no 5G. Wuhan has various issues alongside with 5G. The levels of air pollution is the worst in the world. People are constantly sick there. 5G is indeed a weapon, but they will never admit that. Well, first of all, you know, I'm not trying to oppose everything that people say on purpose, right? I'm just trying to get you to think a bit more, because first you would have to prove that it is a weapon, you know, because nobody has done that. They're just making assumptions based on two different types or similar technologies, and they're equating the two being the same because of frequencies. You know, you have to take into account, I covered this earlier, you have to take into account the power levels that these transmitters are putting out, plus Newton's inverse square law, which means if you're standing further away from this transmitter, the signal and the power level decreases over the distance that you are away, right? So to say it's a weapon, you need to first prove that it's a weapon in order to, you know, have a go at whoever that's not willing to admit that it's a weapon. You know what I'm saying? You need to sort of come up with something better than just claiming that it's a weapon. So, like I said, if somebody wants to explain Iran, it has no 5G and people are dying in Iran. And I'm sure there's other countries around the world here that haven't got any 5G and they're reporting coronavirus deaths. You know? I'm not saying the numbers are accurate, because how can they be when they're basically diagnosing people over the phone. That's one thing that I've personally heard from a neighbour, that a relative of theirs was diagnosed with coronavirus over the phone. You know, how is that possible? They might just have flu symptoms, you know. So if you look at the UK, we've got 203 in the UK already. So we know that China have fudged their numbers and deaths, right? We know that China have fudged their numbers because they're never going to admit. Do a quick check on Kuwait. It has 154 networks to see how many died there, and let's fact check this. Kuwait has 150. Right, hold on. Kuwait coronavirus deaths. Right. What's this? Kuwait denies rumours of first coronavirus death. Health Ministry has quickly moved to deny social media reports that elderly women became the country's first coronavirus death. Right, well, let's just say that they have one death, right? That was the 8th of March. That was, what, a month ago? So I don't know what the count is now. Let's see if we can get some figures here. See, you don't really know if these things are like true here. Right, where's Kuwait on this? Right, hold on. Just do a search. Right. 1 death, apparently. You see that there, Vosto? Apparently they've got 855 cases. New cases, 112. And 1 death. Right? So, where's the Icke map? Okay, so how does that work then, right? If they've only got 1 death, yeah, how much 154? Well, see, just in that one section of Kuwait City, right, you got 101. Now, when we checked Wuhan, how many was there? 3. Right? Now we know China were fudging the numbers, and we know that the China had a lot more deaths than what they were actually reporting. So if China, Wuhan has 3 5G networks and Kuwait has over 100 in just one spot, don't you think Kuwait would have more 5G deaths than China, even though they've only reported 1 death? You see? Like, there's a problem with this 5G linked coronavirus theory, and, you know, David Icke spouting his theory has shut down the conversation. They have used what David Icke says to delete conversation, to delete anybody talking about it. And I mean, this stream might get deleted, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm showing you here is that there's not a correlation between the theory and what we're seeing in reality. Because if Wuhan has 3 5G networks and it's had all those deaths, right, and you go to Kuwait and it's got over 100 in one little city, wouldn't you expect Kuwait to have at least higher numbers than China, given that China, Wuhan city only has 3 5G networks and Kuwait, as I just showed you, has over 100? Something's not adding up here, you know? Look, 183 Kuwait's got, right? When you zoom in, Kuwait city, right? 90 just there, right? If you zoom in a bit, 101, right? You zoom in a bit, it shows you where they're spread out, right? So all in all, in Kuwait city, there's over 100 5G transmitters or networks. You know, what does that mean for the 5G theory? You know what I'm saying? You need to question these things, people, right? Don't just believe what you're told. Don't believe what I'm telling you. Think about it, right? Does it make sense to you that Wuhan, with 3 5G networks, has all these coronavirus deaths if 5G is causing coronavirus deaths, right? Kuwait City has over 100 and they've only reported 1 coronavirus death so far, with 800 cases apparently, right? So if it was 5G that was the cause, wouldn't you expect Kuwait City to have higher numbers than China dying? Wouldn't that be the case? And then what about countries that don't have any 5G, like Iran? How do you explain that? If 5G is a weapon, why are people dying of coronavirus in Iran when there's no 5G? There's Iran here. Here's the capital city. You know? Why are they dying of coronavirus in Iran if it's caused by 5G? You know? The whole of Kuwait should be sick right now, yeah? If the 5G link was true, the whole of Kuwait city at least should be sick and dying, but that's not the case. Sorry, but would you expect they would openly admit that 5G was killing people? Right, you ask questions, right? I mean, seriously, I've just sat here and told you for the past 10 minutes that Kuwait City, if 5G was killing people, Kuwait City would say, hey, we've got a lot of coronavirus deaths. Of course, right? Let's just say your theory is true that 5G is a weapon. Of course, they're not going to say all these deaths are from 5G. But that doesn't make that 5G is linked to the coronavirus, the cause. Loving kindness, 5G is a weapon, though. No, it's not. If it was a weapon, why aren't coronavirus deaths higher in Kuwait? I've just sat here and for the past 10 minutes telling you guys that. I've showed you it. You can go check it for yourself. Do you know what I'm saying? If Wuhan has 3 5G networks and Kuwait City has over 100, if the theory about 5G was killing the people was true, Kuwait City would have more deaths than China. Do you understand? That's a big hole in the 5G killing people theory. You know? It's not linked to coronavirus. How can it be? Do you understand? I've demonstrated that just using this 5G map. You know? Thank you for touching on the 5G subject, inspiring people to think logically about it. Yeah, God bless you. God bless you too. Always sunny in Portland, Oregon. Get radiation poisoning that causes cancer years later still makes it a weapon, but love and kindness, you're talking as if what you're claiming has already been proven. You see? That's not been proven by anybody. I've seen a lot of videos making a claim, but it's not been proven that 5G transmitters cause cancer years later, because nobody's done studies into that sort of thing. I'm not saying that it's entirely 100% safe or anything like that. Not at all. But there's not evidence to say that it's a weapon or that causes cancer years later. Ask questions. I'm not saying that 5G is killing people already. You're mistaken. Well, ask questions. That's what you were saying a minute ago. You know? So now you're backtracking because I've sat here and showed you that there's massive holes in the theory. And now you call me naive. Lol, you are so naive. I'm not the one that's naive, my friend. If you think 5G is killing people or causing coronavirus, then I just poked a massive hole in the theory and you're not willing to accept it. So what does that make you? It makes you ignorant, and you've got cognitive dissonance, right? You're just not willing to listen to new information. I'm not naive. You know? If you want to put a video up, ask questions, proven scientifically or otherwise that 5G is linked to coronavirus, be my guest and tag me and I'll watch it. And if there's any validity to it, fair enough. But if there's not, I'll poke holes in it. So don't sit there and call me naive when I've just demonstrated to you the whole 5G causing coronavirus thing is not entirely true. I'm not attacking you. Right? Well, what do you think calling somebody "you are so naive" is? Right? If you think 5G is safe, you are. Love and kindness, I'll just repeat it, right? I just said it 5 minutes ago. I'm not saying that 5G is 100% safe or dangerous, because there's no studies to prove either of those stances, you understand? There's just none. So not only is Ask Questions calling me naive, but you're calling me naive as well if I think 5G is safe. But there's no proof that 5G is safe or dangerous. So which is it? There has to be studies done. You know? That's okay. It's okay. We're all friends here. I'll let you talk. You can 4G was proven bad to people's health. Okay. why is it everywhere then? Why is 4G everywhere and it's proven bad to people's health? Why aren't people being sick? And why, you know, I've got a 4G phone and I've been using it for years and I'm not sick. So when you say proven, do you just mean conspiracy theorists, articles on the internet? If that's what you mean, then that's not proving anything. Run to Christ, this is the problem with the truth community. It's like they really, really want death rays to be true. Yeah. Yeah, it's the Death Star. It's coming to get you. No. 5G is 10 times worse than 4G, but you don't know that. Ask questions. You don't know that. You're just claiming it, you know. How can it be worse than 4G? You know? You're saying 4G is bad, it causes health problems, but where? Where are you getting that from? You're not sick, but it doesn't mean others aren't. Well, where are they sick? Why isn't it in the papers? Because everybody uses 4G right now. So why have they waited, you know, how long's 4G been out? Quite a few years. So why has nobody reported that 4G is making people sick and they're going to hospitals and whatever else? Targeted individuals using microwaves. What about TIs, targeted individuals? Right. Well, that'd be some kind of directed energy weapon, right? That's what you're talking about. Well, there are things as directed energy weapons in many different forms. Some are big, some are small, some are like crowd control things. Some are sonic weapons. I mean, sound is still energy, right? Sound is still energy. So if I played a sound to you at a certain frequency, it might harm you in way of like your ears, or it could resonate with your actual body, right? Because there's such a thing as a resonant frequency, right? That's why if you get an opera singer, they reach a certain high note and the glass smashes, you know, you've seen that probably, right? So the reason that happens is that the frequency that she reaches when she's singing, it reaches the resonance point of the glass. Now, when that happens, it causes the glass to vibrate, because that's what sound is. It's a vibration that comes through the air, right? Now, then the glass smashes because it's reached that resonance point, sorry. So when you're talking about other forms of energy weapons, like say a laser or something that you can't actually see, right? A 5G tower doesn't necessarily mean that it's kicking out the same thing, because if you just look at frequencies alone, you've got sound frequencies, you've got microwave frequencies, all these kind of things, right? You can see similar numbers and things and somehow think that they're correlated. But like I said, if you're making a directed energy weapon, you would need that thing to be kicking out a lot of power, you know? Because if you look at a laser, you know those laser pens, right? That everybody or the kids have laser pens, right? Now that's a laser in there, right? So light amplification, right, is the first two letters in laser. Laser is actually an acronym. Light amplification. So amplification is really important. So when you have these laser pens, you can shine that laser pen at your hand and it's not going to burn your hand or anything, right? Why? Why does the laser pen that you buy off of Amazon and eBay not burn your hand, even though some of them claim to be able to light a match just with a beam, which doesn't work? I've tried it. I've got one. Right, I've got a laser pen. It's a green one, and it doesn't burn anything. Okay, why does it not burn anything? because it's not got enough power in it. You see, in order for something like that to be harmful, I did try. Need a more powerful one, bro. That's exactly right. You need a more power, right? Can you do it, Captain? Right, anyway, you need power for things to be like that, energy to be harmful, you know? You know what I'm saying? So if there's an energy weapon out there that's for crowd control or something like that, it's going to be high powered, right? Now the 5G transmitters that are going to be put about wherever, they're micro transmitters that don't kick out power to make them go large distances. So that, coupled with Newton's inverse square law, which says that when you have a signal, that signal will decrease in power according to how far away you might be, right? You need to take all these things into consideration when you're pointing a finger at 5G and saying 5G is harmful, right? You need to take into consideration the power of the transmitter and how far away people will generally be from the transmitters. Because otherwise, we'd be in big trouble, right? There's all this thing about electromagnetic radiation, as if just saying those words, electromagnetic radiation, oh, radiation, you said radiation, that must mean bad stuff, right? But it doesn't, because visible light is radiation, and nobody says that, oh, we need to, you know, avoid sunlight at all costs because that's radiation. You know what I'm saying? So right. So when you just talk about scientific words, right? Like the electromagnetic radiation coming from this is dangerous, right? Because it sounds dangerous. Anything with the word radiation on it sounds dangerous, right? But radiation, I mean, heat radiates, right? Your body radiates heat, right? Is that dangerous just because it's called radiation? I think it's fine to go on with the show. You don't need to listen to these noobs. But this is the show, Foster. This is the show, but this is the show because I ran out of stuff to say ages ago. So this is the show now. So non-ionizing radiation, right? What is that? That's sunlight. You know. So look, non-ionizing, right? You got power lines, radio, cell phones, microwave, infrared, visible light spectrum. That's everything that you see. Then ionizing, right? This is when the harmful stuff comes into play. You got ultraviolet, X-rays, and gamma rays. Remember what I was saying about power and energy? Less energy, right, down this side of the scale, non-ionizing. More energy, that side of the scale, harmful, you know? And that's not a very big picture, but what about this one? Oh, that's blurry. Right, so you get my point, all right? You get my point, what I was saying earlier, you know? Grabs popcorn, yeah, get the popcorn. But that's my whole point about this idea of 5G being a weapon, right? It has to, if it was a weapon, it would have... Michelle, it is the frequency that can be dangerous. Michelle, I've just showed you that it's the frequency, right? See this line here? That's frequency. Okay? So you get higher frequency, you get, you know, see what I'm saying? So radio, cell phones, microwaves, 5G is in here somewhere, right? Infrared, visible. Frequency has nothing to do with it, because I could play a synthesizer and start playing some frequencies to you, you know. Does that mean that the synthesizer's dangerous? No, it doesn't. It's the power of the thing, right? Now, if I was to play a synthesizer through a massive PA system and you were standing right next to the bass bin, yeah, the sound frequency could be harmful, but it's not the frequency that counts, it's the power that is outputted at, you see, right? So as that picture shows, non-ionizing frequencies are less energy than the harmful stuff, which is more energy. It's energy that's important here, which is why when you explode a nuclear bomb, it has so much energy. That's what causes the damage, you know, because you're literally splitting an atom and the energy is released. You know, you've heard of the equation E equals mc squared, right? Energy equals mass squared. You know, so when you say 5G is a weapon, you have to take look how many people have dropped off the stream, right? Like, look, because you don't like anybody questioning what people believe. People don't like that. But as you've noticed, as you've seen in the stream, I've gave you very, very good reasons to question this whole 5G is linked to coronavirus, right? I've gave you very good reasons, and I've showed you, and you've seen people in the chat still deny it. So, yes. So AJ, how you doing, brother? AJ, with 5G, they could make rays go from tower to tower. They make it so if you pass between these two towers could fry us like walls on Hunger Games. Well, if the 5G transmitters had enough power, AJ, probably, but I don't think that these 5G towers have that kind of power, because most of them that are going up are micro transmitters that can sit on the top of a building somewhere or whatever. They're not these I mean, if I was to show you the one that's over in the distance from my house, it's massive. I mean, giant. It's like an electric pylon size kind of thing, and it probably does the whole area. I don't know what kind of power that thing's outputting, right? But everybody seems to be far away from it anyway. You know, like I said, Newton's inverse square law. Once the signal gets kicked out, you have to take that into consideration, that the power and the amplification of the signal drops off over distance. Thank you. I've always thought it was going to walls. Well, do you remember that bit in what is it, Never Ending Story, when he's walking past the big Egyptian things and the eyes open and it fries them? That's kind of like that, isn't it? So, Michelle, comprehensive international guidelines exist governing exposure to radio waves. The limits have been established by independent scientific organisations such as the International Commission on Non-Ionising Radiation Protection, and includes substantial margins of safety to protect all people. Yeah. So that's why people drop from the stream. Yeah, probably was. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Maybe it's just getting boring now. It is 93 minutes we've been streaming for, guys. Thank you very much for coming. Apologies about the whole technical difficulties throughout it, because it's new software. Well, it's not new, it's just I'm not used to it. It's OBS, you probably heard of that if you've done some live streams. Previously I was using XSplit Broadcaster, but you need to pay for some of the features on XSplit, whereas on OBS it's open source software, so it's free, and it pretty much does everything that XSplit does. It's just a little bit more complicated to use. It's less user friendly, even though it's quite complicated, you know. Yeah, good to see you streaming. Yeah, I know. I need to get more into the streaming thing. It would be nice once I get properly used to this software that things can run smoothly, and I can run all my sweet videos and things like that as I go, you know. So I don't know if you guys have any questions or anything like that. Anything else you want to maybe ask me about 5G or David Icke or whatever else. Where's Icke? Chris says. We covered that earlier, Chris. We talked a bit about David Icke and how he's caused this controversy. Was interview with London Real. We talked about how he's caused this controversy, and it's caused YouTube to then change their policy. You know, where are the lizard people? Well, see, there's the thing, Bosto. When you sit there and you say that you're Jesus Christ on BBC television back in the 90s or whatever it was, and then you're going on about lizard people and things like that, there's a kind of boy cried wolf scenario there, I think, you know, like, you know, because he said these kind of things that are kind of out there, you know. Yeah, wow, did you not know that? Just Google it, man. Icke claims to be son of God or something like that. Chris says no, he didn't. Well, you can go on YouTube and see the interview, you know. He's into that whole Christ consciousness thing, you know, like, you know. He might not be into that anymore, but that's what he did say on television. Well, yeah, exactly. So that's my point. Like, he's created this whole boy cried wolf scenario. Like, you know, who's going to believe you, David, if the 5G thing is real, right? And you've said all this wacky stuff in the past. You know, like, who's going to believe you? You know. I mean, a lot of people doing whatever, but that's because they're into conspiracy theories, and you know, that's where their mindset is. So, you know, I mean, I know what that's like because I came through that whole conspiracy theory thing, you know. So I was into it for years, you know, going back to like 2006 was when I started really proper getting into it, you know. But 9/11 was a long time ago now, you know, and that's what kicked it off. It is only Icke who believes and tells people about 5G. Well, that's not true, Michelle, because I've seen plenty of people on YouTube talking about 5G, and the exact same thing that Icke is saying in that interview. I've heard people saying on YouTube, you know, like I mentioned earlier, a lady that made a video and it's went super viral. So Icke's not the only one, you know. 5G hasn't even been tested. I meant to say isn't. Oh yeah, okay. 5G hasn't been tested. Yeah, exactly. So how do you know it's good or bad if it hasn't been tested? You know. They'll test it now on people. Yeah, I know, Michelle, he isn't the only one. Yeah, it's a typo, I get that. So 5G was never tested, so how do you know it was bad? How do you know 5G's bad if it's never been tested? This is going to divide the truth community just like Flat Earth. Well, you know, whatever. I'm not part of the truth community, you know. You know, I guess I was, but the fact that they've went conspiracy overdrive, you know, and I'm more concerned about my worldview based on the Bible rather than conspiracy theories that I find on the internet. We don't know if it's bad. We also don't know if it's good. But that's my point, Michelle. That's my point. If you don't know, if it hasn't been tested, you don't know it's bad. But yet there's people on here saying it's bad. So how do you know it's bad if it's never been tested? You see? A bit of coffee there. It's a good one. So that's my point, you know. You got to think these things through. If you're making claims about 5G being bad, then you're saying in the same breath that it's not been tested. The fact that it hasn't been tested is bad. Sure, I would agree with that. They should test it, you know. Here's the thing. Non-ionizing frequencies, you know, it has been tested to a point, at least. I found a couple of articles where people have did scientific studies on it, but I don't think that there's anything conclusive. I think that's what the problem is. There's nothing conclusive. I read a paper. You can Google the words. I've said this in the stream before. Google the words non-ionizing 60 gigahertz, and you should get the paper that I read as the top hit. And you know, they tested 5G on organic matter from I think it was eye cells. They did it on eye cells, and they bombarded it with 5G frequencies for 24 hours up close, like right up close. And as far as I can tell, they didn't notice any harmful effects, you know. So further testing needs to be done. But like I said, if you're going to claim that 5G is bad, and then say it's not been tested, you can't really conclude that it's bad, you know, and the whole thing falls apart. And to say it's linked to coronavirus, as a lot of people do, including David Icke, you know, where is the test? Are you talking about the... So you trust the folks who test it? Well, apparently, according to the people that in the chat, it's not been tested, so we just talked about that. What I'm saying is, there has been some tests, and because I know what non-ionizing means, and when they say they've tested it, and it's a scientific paper, you go read it, non-ionizing 60 gigahertz, it should be the top hit. You can go read it. So to say, do I trust them? Well, I know a bit about non-ionizing radiation, so when they talk about it in the paper, I can understand what they're saying. So when a conspiracy theorist talks about it, all they talk about is claims, you know. There is research on non-ionizing radiation. Of course there is. Of course there is. That's why you're getting this thing on the screen here. You can see it. They don't just make these things up. We've known about X-rays and ultraviolet rays and gamma rays for a long time, you know, and that's how we came up. You know, when did we invent the radio? We invented it a long time ago. Dana Ashley talks about it. It's been tested. 5G 60 gigahertz has been tested and is dangerous. Do you have a scientific peer-reviewed paper on that, Julia, or is it just Dana Ashley making claims? Right, because as far as I'm aware, there's been no test conclusively proving that it's dangerous or that it's 100% safe. You're also making claims without proofs. Okay, what you're seeing on the screen there, ask questions, okay, is an explanation of non-ionizing radiation, okay? Surely I don't need to go through it again. If you're talking about 5G as being harmful, it has to have enough energy to be harmful, you know? So I've said that already. And I also demonstrated to you earlier that Kuwait, with over 100 5G networks in one city, Kuwait City, it should be experiencing deaths that are higher than Wuhan, China. Wuhan had 3 networks up and running in Wuhan. So when you're saying I'm making claims without proof, no, the proof is all there. You can go see that 5G network map for yourself and explain Iran. The cables used on those towers are gigantic. Research it. What cables? Power cables? Can they kick the power up to use it as a weapon? I don't know, AJ. Maybe. But why, you know? Wouldn't they just be killing everybody rather than, you know, us plebeians out here, you know? A cable like that can carry an enormous amount of energy. What kind of cable is it? You know? You seem to know about it. Tell me the name of the cable. So I don't know if they can kick the power up. I mean, according to Ask Questions, they've got a giant cable that can, you know. Why would a micro transmitter need a giant cable? You know? Just wondering. Because it seems to me that you're just trying to ignore what I've said to you and come up with new reasons about why you're still right. You know? Wait, what happened? David Icke's video taken down. Are they on BitChute or somewhere else? Cosmic, I'll give you the link to the interview if you want it. I've got it right here. Somewhere. Yep, here it is. Copy. So, I'll get it in chat, mate. What I will say is you need to register your email before you can watch it. That's the official site of where he did the interview. So it's like 2.5 hours long, something like that. I've watched about an hour and a half of it earlier today, and you know, he said one thing that I found interesting and that probably should be looked into, and that's how they go about the method of testing for the COVID-19, because I do believe there's some number fudging going on. You know, I do believe that. Michelle watched the entire thing. Yeah, I'll get to the rest of it at some point, Michelle. But you've only got so much time in the day, you know. The real issue is Bill Gates' Mark of the Beast vaccine that we'll all be forced to take soon. Yeah. Well, they might be wanting to roll out a vaccine, but I don't believe a vaccine is the Mark of the Beast. The Mark of the Beast is subservience to the Antichrist. It's not, you know, getting an injection. Because that, to get an injection, I'm not saying get the injection, right? I'm saying that I don't vaccinate my kids, right? So I'm not saying get the vaccine or nothing, but what I'm saying to you is getting a vaccine, if you were to get a vaccine, is not subservience to the Antichrist, you know? And that's what the Mark of the Beast is. It's subservience to the Antichrist, you know? Like, this tech is... V-Power says this tech has been used to create this matrix to enslave us. It's called the web for a reason, to ensnare us. The tech will be weaponized to usher in the beast system. Well, anything can be turned against you for evil, right? You know what I'm saying? So, like, they don't need 5G to track you. They can already track you, for example. I'm just using that as one sort of point of discussion. They can use anything that you have right now against you. You got a smart TV? Do you have a smart TV? Well, a smart TV, that can monitor you, right? That could tell the TV company everything that you watch all day long and whatever. I'm not saying you watch TV all day long, but anything could be turned against you. But my point would be sort of like, why would we suddenly be all worried about 5G when there's already these things around you right now that could probably be turned against you tomorrow? For example, they're tracking people's phones, didn't they? They did it with that what's it called, spring break group of kids, and they tracked their phones, and apparently Google and whoever it is that gave them that data, they're not actually allowed to do that, but under these lockdown rules it seems the law's subverted whenever they feel like it. You know, so technology, it's not inherently evil, but it can be used for evil, you know, just as much as it can be used for good. Do you know what I mean? Did you read what I posted from OSHA government about non-ionizing radiation? Is that the comment that says higher frequencies of EM radiation consisting of X-rays, gamma rays, or types of ionizing radiation consisting of ultraviolet? What, is that what you're talking about? That's just like I mean, that's basically the text version of what I was showing on the screen, right? I don't remember where it is now. Here it is. That's the text version of what you're seeing now. Is that what you're talking about, Michelle? Because I don't know. Technology is the devil! Yeah. Would Jesus tolerate a lockdown? I think not. Well, actually, if there's a virus, yes. If there is a virus, there is quarantine rules in Leviticus. There is actually quarantine rules, what to do when somebody has leprosy, say, and you've got to isolate yourself for others for 7 days, and then you've got to see the priest again, and the priest inspects you to declare you either clean or not clean. And if you're not clean, well, you're to stay in quarantine for another 7 days until whatever passes. You know, that's in Leviticus. So if there is a real virus out there, then yeah, I think Jesus would tolerate a lockdown, you know, because he has laws for, or rules exactly, for example, you know. Yep, Jesus didn't heal via social distancing when he healed the lepers. Yeah, well, I don't think he was going to catch it, you know what I'm saying, so. Watchman says 3G and 4G is bad for us. That is a fact. Lots of studies show this one. You can do yourself with some friends. You put smartphones in a circle, call each other, put a few kernels of popcorn in the centre and watch. Yeah, but okay. So what you're doing there is you're taking lots of smartphones and putting them right next to each other. You're increasing the energy output, right, by multiplying the radiation by using multiple smartphones. Try doing that with one phone, and then you'll have a case for saying it's bad for you, you know? Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying surround yourself with a million phones all day and hold a phone up to your head and everything's going to be dandy. What I'm saying is that to use that example of putting a few phones in a circle together and, you know, like it heats up the popcorn, does it, right? That's because it's multiplying the amplification of the radiation, right? Because you've got so many phones in the same spot at one time. How many phones does it take? 5, 6? If you could pop some popcorn with one phone, then yeah, I would say there was a problem, because unless you're super rich and whatever else, you're only going to have one phone on you, you know? It's the point I keep trying to make. It's all about the energy levels that I think a certain device kicks at, you know? Because unless it's high power, it's not really going to be harmful. Maybe free phones. Watchman, you sounded like you watched this happen and you're not sure how many it takes. Come on, man. I thought you were going to, I thought you'd seen this or you'd done it for yourself. So, have you done it, Watchman? Have you did this? Have you put smartphones in a circle and made some popcorn before you've sat down and watched a movie? I'd be interested to see if that does indeed take place. You know what I'm saying? Get used to different. This is the chosen quote app, but apt for this year's craziness. Yeah, 2020. I mean, slow the train down, man. Like 2020's been like a roller coaster ride, innit? I mean, you had the Australian fires, you had the World War III nearly kicking off within the first couple of days, and then you had all this coronavirus stuff, and then now you've got lockdown, global lockdown everywhere. It's kicking off, right? I mean, you know. Are you got any questions, guys? Because I think I'm going to wrap it up now. I think I've rabbited on about 5G for long enough. 5G is a higher level that hasn't been tested. So, okay, Michelle, we get that. So how do you know it's bad? You see? You just, you know, it's one thing wanting to believe that it's bad, but you can't. I don't know how you can hold to that opinion if you're sitting there saying that it hasn't been tested. You know? If it hasn't been tested, then you can't conclude that it's bad, right? Cell phone radiation Ask Questions says it's proven to be linked to mass increase of cancer cases. You're just ignoring hundreds of studies that claim that. Well, okay, if that's true, why is human beings continuing the world over to still use cell phones if it's been proven, right? Now, is it a conspiracy? Is it just the telecommunications manufacturers? They just want you to die and keep using the phone, you know? Because if what you're saying is true and there's hundreds of studies out there that claim that, then are you saying money, 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 money? Yeah, I get that. Money, 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 right? They're all wanting money, obviously, otherwise they wouldn't be in business. But if there's hundreds of studies that claim cell phone radiation has been linked to mass increase of cancer cases, then surely, no matter what the telecommunications people say, there would be an uproar about it. People would stop using the phones and they would go back to, a Nokia, whatever it is, a dumb phone, Surely we'd all just go back to that, which just output, normal frequency radio waves or whatever, Do you know what I'm saying? So it wouldn't matter what the telecommunications company tried to say to you if it was that well known that it caused cancer, because I mean, how long did it take for people to figure out cigarettes caused cancer? Once that was proven, a lot of people made the decision to not smoke, right? And cigarette sales plummeted, and I don't know if they still are or whatever, but you know what I'm saying? They would not cause everybody is now dependent on this tech. Ask questions. I think you should ask yourself a question and say, what would you rather have? Cancer or a phone? Night Vostel, God bless you, mate. Alright, it's good to see you again. We'll drop by. And hey, let's do a live stream one time, alright? We'll get on and we'll talk to each other. And we'll talk about crazy world that we live in. Alright, brother. Good night, mate. See you soon. Julia says, YouTube removed my comment because of the link. But it's Diana Asher's video. What, you posted it? If you posted it in the chat, you won't be able to post it in the chat. Or if it's on the actual video, like the stream itself, links won't go through because you're not a mod. So the link, if you posted it in the chat, it will get rejected. If you posted it in the comment section, like down below the video, it will go to spam automatically because, when you run a YouTube channel, you have a lot of people posting links that I don't want other people to see because it's like inappropriate or things like that. It's just spam for somebody's business or whatever. Yeah. So if you've posted it to the comment section underneath the video, I'll have a look at my spam folder or whatever, and I'll approve the comment. I'll look at the video and whatever else. So thanks for posting it, but just to let you know, only mods can post links. AJ says I can't go to anyone's channel who's in this chat right now. That's a bit weird, isn't it? If you Ask Question says, if you think these people care about your health or anyone else, you're in for a big surprise. No, I don't think a phone company cares for my health, but I don't accept some of the claims that the Truther movement are saying because, it doesn't seem to add up to me, and I've showed you some points that pokes holes in it. Pray about it, everyone. I agree with that, Watchman. You pray. Call me old-fashioned, but I've never owned a cell phone. Well, that's awesome. And maybe one day, if there are some dangers to this 5G or 4G or whatever, maybe people will switch their brains on again, and if people really are getting cancer years later from using cell phones and whatever else, maybe we need to go back to the old phones, Just a thought. Yeah, because, you know, at least you're discerning. Julia says, who knows what the real truth is, but there's so many people in the community just willy-nilly throwing out theories. That's right, and I like to have some sort of proof of things, you know. Call me crazy, you know. People these days care more about Facebook and Instagram. That is absolutely true. People are kind of obsessed with social media. I mean, everybody that was kind of, you know, my age and whatever, we sort of like experienced the birth of the internet and the birth of social media and all that. So you imagine kids growing up in this world where that's like that's all they do, you know, is talk on social media and whatever else. Like their whole lives are run on social media rather than in real life. But those of us that are a bit older, when we watched the birth of the internet, you know, it wasn't as obsessive for us as it is for, you know, young kids these days. Isn't it? That's what it's like. So look, I think I'm going to wrap it up here, guys. Thomas has got a question. I think you've just dropped in, mate. Hi, do you think the coronavirus is the beginning or woes of birth pains as in the Bible? Well, I do believe that we're in the end times, and I do believe that we'll be witnessing the return of Jesus Christ very soon. So if you don't know Jesus and you're not saved, I would say that believe the gospel. I assume that you are, Thomas, because you're here. I don't know. So, and you're asking Bible questions, so I assume that you do know Jesus, right? So that's the most important thing, is people's salvation. It is the end times, and I do believe we'll be seeing his return at some point, and I'll be very surprised if I make it to, I don't know what age, 80, and then, you know, he's not come back yet. I would be very surprised at that. But I don't know if I could say that coronavirus is the beginning of wars or birth pains, because you could interpret Matthew 24 to have already happened, but, you know, the way Bible prophecy works is that it's very much like a pattern. So even if it has had a fulfillment in history, it could very well repeat. And of course, pestilences are foretold in the Bibles, and we need to take note of that. You know, so it could be. I mean, there's a guy on YouTube called 2028, and he came up with this theory about not the day or the hour that Jesus returns, but rather the season. And he bases it on creation, right? The 7 days of creation. And he theorizes that we're almost up at the day of rest type thing. And there's good evidence to say 2028 end. Yeah, I thought, yeah, that's the one, Julia. So he's had that theory based on creation for quite a while. And I do believe that our reality will follow that kind of model, you know? And so think about it this way: if 2028 is kind of right, that would mean next year would be the start of the last seven years, you know. And I'm not saying he is right. I'm just saying that the time is soon, and you know, we can all just take this time to get closer to God, you know, and you can share the gospel. You can use this time where you're sitting in the house to talk to people about the gospel, you know. And yeah. Oh, there's Joshua. Hello, Joshua, mate. How you doing? AJ says, will you end in a prayer? Sure, bro. Sure. Father, I've come before you in front of you today and tonight to pray for the well-being of everybody that is suffering through the coronavirus. I pray that you give them the strength and patience to make it through this really bad time that we're going on, and I just ask you to comfort your people, Lord, through this time, and provide for those that need it, because there's a lot of unemployment because of this lockdown, and if you can provide for them, they could make it through this and increase our faith in this difficult time, Lord. and just comfort your people and be there, because you're a loving God, and I know you will do that, because it's in your word that you look after the birds. So how much more valuable are we to you? So I ask you this in Jesus' name, for everybody watching in the chat. Amen. So Joshua, you missed it, mate. I'm like, I'm having to wrap it up now, because it's like 2 hours ago I started. But just watch it on the replay or something, or just wait for the next one, bro. What have I done? I've pressed something. Right, well, that's it for me, folks. God bless you all. Thank you very much for coming, and I hope you don't get upset about the 5G stuff and this coronavirus. Okay, just stay strong in the faith, and everything will be all right. Because it's promised in His word. Okay, don't be fearful about these things. Just have faith and read your Bible. God bless you all, folks. I'll see you on the next video or the next live stream, whatever comes first. If you want to support this channel, you can head over to the website www.runtochrist.net/subscriptions. And of course, if you're having troubles through this whole thing financially, don't bother giving me a penny or anything like that, alright? I mean, I'm not asking you to put yourself out or anything, but you can support the channel if you wish, and that's the website to do it, runtochrist.net/subscriptions. God bless you all, guys. I will see you on the next one.